Welcome back to the Super Centex Podcast alongside DJ Ramirez, Chad Conine. I am Brice Cherry. How is my team this week?
Good.
Tired.
Good. Just Just 1 week closer to the fall, the official start of fall, which I think is September 22nd-ish. Yeah.
That'll be nice.
I need to go shopping for my little fall decorations and my pumpkin spice candles and
my neighbors have had their jack-o'-lantern up for a week or two.
I think you can get pumpkin spice toilet paper, literally. All right, before we get off into the weeds on pumpkin spice. Last week
toilet paper.
We had a fantasy football themed version of the Super Centex podcast. This week we're dipping our toe into the survivor pool. So you probably heard of a survivor pool before, where you pick a team and see how long they last. So far,
I thought you were talking about the TV show Survivor.
No, which I did hear on the radio today that is starting its whatever season today or something.
Like 25th season or something like that? Or
crazy. It's been
on more because they do 2 seasons a year.
It's been on as long as DJ's been alive. So far through 3 weeks of the season, we've got 8 teams in 11-man football in Central Texas who are 3-0. Even the big boys at Mart have lost a game. So the 8 3-0 teams are Midway, University, Connally, Groesbeck, Troy, Hamilton, Axtell, and Bosqueville. So my question is this: which of these teams that I just mentioned has the best shot to get to 10-0, to get through the regular season unscathed? I'm not necessarily asking you who you think is going to go deepest in the playoffs. And so we're going to have a little 3-person draft, and I've given you the draft order: DJ, Chad, me. And basically your answer can be stolen, basically. So except for DJ. So go ahead, DJ.
Man, you know what? I'm gonna go with Hamilton. I don't think that's a team we ever talk about. And they just played Crawford. And I was talking to Coach Craig Horn, because Crawford's playing Axtell this week, and he was just telling me about how he thinks Hamilton might be like the best team at that level in the area right now. And I mean, like, looking at their schedule, I feel like it's pretty winnable. It's it's pretty easy to see the Hamilton Bulldogs going 10-0 in the regular season.
You're right. We don't talk about them a lot. They are on the western side of our coverage area, the very fringe, and as Chad knows, not always easy to get on the phone.
I've had them in the preview section so many times, and it doesn't matter like what angle you try to go. It's really hard to get the hands.
I had them this year, and I didn't get Coach Marwitz on the phone either. So pick up the phone, Hamilton. We'll talk about you a little bit more. What do you say, Chad?
I like the Hamilton is a good answer. The two that I liked initially, I just did some quick searches, and I'm not doubting necessarily these two teams, but Troy plays Franklin in 2 weeks. Troy plays Franklin in 2 weeks. Groesbeck, I believe Groesbeck plays Lexington this week, which is a low-key great game, by the way.
Indeed.
So that kind of dings those two right there. Now, the Axtell Longhorns, who play Crawford this week, right?
Correct.
Just right now, taking an impromptu look at their schedule ahead of them. Dang, I mean, Italy, October 18th might be their biggest challenge ahead of them. And all due respect to Crawford, we're not seeing vintage Crawford at the moment.
Yeah, we'll get into that, but I agree. I think Axel's a pretty good answer, a pretty good team to choose, because, I mean, we saw them go 10-0 last year. And you talked earlier in the season about they have dialed up their non-district schedule a little bit.
By a lot.
And and they've managed it. You know, they've won those games so far. So
the Kearns game, I mean, was a legit test for them.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Well, so DJ took Hamilton, you take Axtell. So I have not just looked at everyone's schedule completely, but here's what I'll say. I'm going to take Midway, and it's not because that's the team I cover or anything like that. I say if they can get past this week, and I'm actually not picking them to win this week, but do I think they can win Thursday night in Mansfield? Sure. They have
It was a pretty good game on paper.
It really is. Mansfield's tough, and Mansfield's kind of had Midway's number in that series, but what I like about Midway is that their defense travels, and it will keep them in games, even on some nights like last week where Cash Pullen was not money. You know, he was not super sharp, and they can run the ball. So they are a sound football team, and I think if they do beat Mansfield, they should be favored to win all the games in District 12 6A. So, yeah, we'll see. Well, maybe we'll revisit that. We'll see how our teams did, but I might be out first because Mansfield's going to be a tough one.
Were we doing that like Yankee swap, right, where you could steal one of our answers if you wanted to?
No, we were doing it like a draft.
Okay.
So Chad, you mentioned them, but on the flip side, Crawford is sitting in a very highly unusual position of being 0-3. As we mentioned, this week the Pirates face Axtell, so Crawford very well could get to 0-4. Consider, so just how weird is this? Since 2010, Crawford has had 10 double-digit winning seasons. I mean, they were in the state semifinals just 2 years ago. I mean, we are used to seeing Crawford win at a high level. So what do you guys think? Is this just a momentary pause in the success for the Pirates? Or have they kind of fallen back to that sort of level where they're having to scratch and fight just to get into the playoffs? It might be better to ask DJ this next week after she's seen him, but
yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know. From what I've heard from, first of all, they've played hard teams in their
yes. Yeah, they have.
Right? Anderson, Shiro, Hamilton,
Centerville,
and they kept it close with Centerville. So, you know, I don't know if the quality of their opponents can really tell you, you know, if Crawford is really that bad because they've played really tough teams and they've been in games with really tough teams. What I do know is like they're going to go up against an Axtell team that is experienced and they're fast. The only, you know, obviously they're not as big as Crawford. Coach Horn has said this before before the season started. A lot of teams are going to beat them out on size. So, I mean, we'll see. I just think that perhaps, you know, it's just one of those years where you're kind of rebuilding and you know, teaching some new kids the system and the program that has been successful for you before. And you're also playing, you know, a schedule that has teams that are also really successful now. You know, once they get into district, I feel like they'll be fine. I don't know. Obviously, Marlin is really good, so they're the team to beat in that group. But I think they've got a chance to, you know, beat some of the other teams in that district right now and maybe come up with like a second place finish as opposed to last year when they just squeaked by. So, yeah.
Chad?
You know, we don't get injury, like the Big 12 teams are doing injury reports now, right? Is that like a new rule or something?
I think that's the SEC, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Texas Tech is following along with that system, I guess. Maybe Texas Tech is on the low key trying to join the SEC too or something. But anyway, I've noticed that because I follow them. But so some of these schools you'd like to see an injury report, especially as we're picking all these games every week.
Sure.
But you know, the question is, are they making progress, and are they building, or are they having to plug, a hole in the dam every week? And if they are making progress, the next 3 weeks are like big time challenge / opportunities for them, because they've got Axtell and Holland and then Marlin, with Marlin being the district opener. So especially that Marlin game, can you build toward that? And can you go to battle and have a true, kind of battle for a district title like Marlin, like we would have expected maybe when the district came out, back in the spring. I don't want to guess too much on Crawford. I haven't covered him enough recently. I haven't talked to Coach Jacobs this season, which is really weird. I usually talk to him 2 or 3 times by now, but I don't know. I mean, like you said, Brice, their tradition goes back so far. Their tradition goes back, to when I was in high school, and they had, a kid or two a kid that went to Texas, and played kind of a special teams role at Texas, and some really great individual players back then. And of course, we know, the team concept at Crawford is always strong and steady. And I mean, even you go back to the mid 90s and they haven't had very, very many drop offs. They've been pretty consistently good.
Which is why I do think this is, even if it is a momentary pause, like I tend to agree with you guys that I think they still have a chance to turn it around this year. I agree with DJ that so there were years where Crawford buzzed through the regular season at 10-0, and you could go back and look at their non-district schedule and knock them a little bit for it, where they didn't really play that many super tough teams. I commend Coach Jacobs and the Pirates for playing the likes of Centerville and Anderson Shiro and those teams, and they were in those games. So I think that I think they're going to be okay. I certainly think they'll be in the playoffs. I'm not worried about them like beating Moody and the schools at the bottom of that district.
Rosebud Lot's looking like a tough game though.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think Rosebud Lot Bosqueville low key is a very interesting game this week. Just back to Crawford for a sec. So I have such respect for like their athletic program as a whole. There may be no more consistent, like across the board athletic program in Central Texas. I mean, on any level. I mean, they win in every sport. And I just think they have a lot of kids who are bought in and understand the standard and work hard. And sure, it helps, when your talent level is up here some years, and maybe this year it's down here. But
I think this year they're going to be this school year, they're going to be the Caitlin Clark of Central Texas athletic programs. Their girls teams are going to get more attention.
I got you. Okay. Well, their girls teams have been on a very high level for a while, but don't count Coach Jacobs and the Pirates out. So this week we unveiled our longtime package of stat leaders. We call it StatsPlus. I sent y'all up the page. Does anybody from the stats jump out at you to the point where you go, man, I got to go see that kid play?
Well, since you've hogged Midway for forever now, yeah, the Midway kids, I want to see what Cash Pullen looks like. And I'm not on the right page right now, but the running back Lathan
Wissington, yes. I could flat out tell you, I mean, the kid's getting D1 looks for a reason. He's strong, he's physical, he searches out contact.
Yeah.
And still can run by you too.
Yeah, for sure. Him. We mentioned Troy a minute ago, but I wanted to double down on that. The Lonesome Dove, the last picture show of Central Texas quarterbacks, Joseph McMurtry.
That's well played.
That obviously, reference to Larry McMurtry, yes. Great Texas author. Yeah, I'd like to see the Troy Trojans and maybe get a chance to see them since that's not the team you're hogging.
I'm not covering Midway this week. If you want to go up to Mansfield on Thursday night, I know that's your favorite place to cover a game. DJ, who do you say?
No, it's Midlothian I don't like. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
Um, at first I do gotta say, I feel like this list is really incomplete. From the list that you sent me yesterday, I mean on Monday, to and enter stats in for, I only found like 6 of the teams. And I did reach out to a few
Yeah,
of
now
those.
I had put in a bunch before.
Yeah. But God, I feel like the goats are goating right now. Groesbeck. Um,
The goats are goading. I like that.
I like it too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I saw Trent Platt play last year, but that's the game that they got beat up by Whitney in the first round. And he's been a solid quarterback. He got kind of thrown in as a freshman late in the season because their starting quarterback that year got hurt. And but like he's got 800 passing yards over the first 3 weeks, right? Leading our passing stats right now. Some of the Bremont kids are also doing really well. Terrence Scott, is putting up a lot of yards on the ground and putting up some big numbers defensively. And at Rosebud Lot, they've got, senior wide receiver and Carson Colling. I think
How
that's
about
it.
I think it's K-League, but
how about
Yeah.
you could answer this question with your all New York Stock Exchange team. First, you got Cash Pullen, and then over in Rosebud Lot, you got Price Raybroker.
oh my gosh. We do need to come up with an all-name team. So DJ is still in my answer. I want to see those Rosebud Lot kids play. Price Raybroker, already 10 touchdown passes on the year. And DJ mentioned Carson K-League I think is how you probably pronounce that. Over 500 receiving yards through the first 3 games. Pretty impressive. I really think that it's unfortunate we have a little bit of a skeleton riding crew this week because I think Bosqueville Rosebud Lot would be a good game to cover. Bosqueville out to the 3-0 start, and they've got a kid. Is it? I don't have it right in front of me. Is it Cooper Wright, their running back?
Oh, yeah. Cooper Wright. Yeah.
He's got over 400 yards rushing through the first 3 games. So, yeah, both teams putting up some pretty good stats. All right. So we had 2 new stadiums in Central Texas debut last week. One in Abbott and one in Live Oak, right here in Waco. So I thought this would be fun. What do you think makes for a good high school football stadium or venue, I guess? Maybe it's more than just the stadium itself, the atmosphere. What are some of your personal favorite places that you've covered a game?
If I have to come home and put on like a compression pack on my back, then your stadium sucks. Okay? Like if my back hurts when I leave.
Who are you calling out?
Where did that happen?
In several places. But no, I feel like for me, if I have a good view of the game, if I have an easy way to get down to the field quickly after the game, and if the food is good, then we're
Food does
set.
help.
Yeah.
So Gatesville.
So Gatesville. I mean, Gatesville's press box is a little packed, but it checks off all those boxes. So, I mean, Waco ISD is always, real nice. They have a nice setup up there. I wish it was easier to get on the Wi-Fi. But I mean, we can always get around that. No, I mean, Panther Stadium, which I haven't gotten to go very often because, as we said, Brice kind of hogs those games, but they've got a nice setup.
Brice won't be a dad to a Midway student forever. So
on the subject of Panther Stadium, this struck kind of a nostalgic chord with me because Panther Stadium used to walk up you come in the stadium, you walk up this hill behind. So you walk up this hill and you're above the bleachers. It's still kind of that way because when you walk in, there's a section of bleachers down below you. But it used to be you had the concession stand at the top above the bleachers, and you kind of go in the door right there, and you just go up the stairs, and you're in the press box, and kind of a nice, good press box for the old era stadiums. And that was just kind of a cool setup. That they had there back in the good old days,
What are your choices there, Chad?
Well, I put Gatesville on my list too because it kind of has that same thing. I like when stadiums kind of use the natural features that surround them. Another one that does that is Crawford Pirate Stadium.
Kind of buried in the woods almost.
Yeah, I like the view. I like that it's not like super high, like you feel like you're part of the game and the atmosphere.
You're right in there. They don't have a track either, so that's something.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Waco ISD Stadium, and I thought Thursday night was so cool just to have like good student sections and a lot of people on both sides. Being down in there shooting that game really felt like you were in an atmosphere, right? And Waco ISD Stadium, I think, does that well because they have kind of the grass bowl, like the grass end zones that come down. And when you get a super big game there, even I think sometimes people sit in those seats as well or have at some different points in the past, which that's a really cool idea to be able to do with the stadium. I wish we had, a few more giant games in there. It's too bad. I like the Jerry World concept of single site state championship, but I also kind of miss having some of those games here in town. I think that was cool. And let's see, I mentioned McCamey Stadium in Gatesville, Waco IC, Mejia Black Cat Field. It's got an interesting
with the awning,
and the press box is actually on the visitor side, right? The press box is on the visitor side, and so it looks back across at the home side.
Yeah. That's a good one. They have actually just renovated Black Cat Stadium, and I think they renovated the awning, but they kept the awning because it's so iconic. Another good one I will mention. I don't know. Surely, Chad, you've covered a game here. Maybe you have too, DJ. Cameron, have y'all been to Cameron?
Oh, I haven't covered a game there. No, I've been to Cameron plenty of times because it's right next to Rockdale.
It's worth going. They have a sort of like old. I think it was built in the FDR days.
The Works Progress Administration.
Stadium and stuff. Yeah, it's sort of got this rock facade and very, very cool feel at Cameron. That's a good one. And another one I'll mention that now, basically is defunct because, it's basically just their practice field, but where Live Oak was before.
Live Oak, yeah.
I've done a couple of games there, and it was just so cool having the silos in the background.
I know. Isn't that amazing to have grain silos? Isn't that the most amazing thing you've ever seen, to have grain silos with Christmas lights on them?
It feels very Waco now, whether you're going to be cynical about it or not. It's just very Waco.
I'm annoyed by the fact that they had to put a Magnolia branded suite in the berm at McLean Stadium when that was the only affordable space to get tickets at, on a consistent basis. But you
can't let opportunities to make money slip in this world of college football. You got to sell everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been to the new Live Oak Stadium, even though it's right down the street from me. But I've been to their baseball.
Right, it just opened up last week.
Yeah.
And the baseball stadium and the football stadium, that's part of the whole big complex.
They are right next to each other. It's like
behind the 7-Eleven.
Yeah, that 7-Eleven over there on Franklin.
Yeah.
That's a rough spot, man.
All right, so go out and find you a good stadium this week. Chad, you will be...
Oh, I'll be at a great stadium.
Brownwood.
I'll be at Gordon Wood Stadium in Brownwood. Yeah, and I think I'm obligated by Texas law to go to Underwoods before that game.
That's true. Yeah. If you go to Brownwood, you must go to Underwoods. And DJ will be at that Crawford Axtell game out in, what do they call that stadium there? Longhorn Field, probably?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will be in the Rocky Mountains with Zach getting ready for Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Colorado.
Yeah. Coach Prime.
Yeah.
Brice and Coach Prime in the same place.
Right.
Making it officially the coolest place in the universe.
I'll bring y'all back some weed.
Raw. Never mind. I didn't say that.
See ya.
I'm good. No